Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I do wish to speak about collectives, because collectives was effectively one of the many things that did get revealed at the Summoner Fest. One of the few things that I do want to delve in a bit deeper, because this definitely has a potential to have a massive impact, and I kind of feel like it has slid under the radar. Because would this be a reveal that's, casually happening through forums or a live stream, I think it would have solicited a larger reaction from the community's player base. Now, it is true that a lot still remains to be unknown about the collectives, therefore I do not wish to engage in some sort of rage baiting or overly large speculation. However, I do want community to be more aware of the potential impact that this new collective system will indefinitely have on the game, and it could have on the game, because we do not have the full details and extent of it. However, briefly to explain collectives, because I don't think everybody here is familiar with it, the base idea is that there will be multitudes of different collectives in the game. They can be class-based, they can be tag-based, they can be, champions that inflict bleed. But effectively, it's kind of like a grouping of champions that happens automatically, where, all the champions of this specific class, effectively, account for your collective strength. So all of your science roster contributes points towards your science collective. All of your skill roster contributes points towards your skill collective. And the higher ranked champions they are, the more points they contribute. As we can see here, 1600 for this Joe Fixit here, then 950 for a lower rank spot, and 800 for like 6-star eye bomb. And that will signature level and their rank and the ascension levels will affect how many points they give to your collective. And with that, it will affect what kind of rank ups you can make, that we saw here, because you're going to need specific amount of points, and then you're going to need some sort of gameplay requirement or something in order to be able to rank up your collective. And as you rank up your collectives, you get increasing benefits. Here's like a basic list of them, but they are not by any means limited to this, and we don't even need the top rewards for the initial collectives, because as I said, they do intend to create more collectives, let's say champions that can inflict bleed, or champions that are incinerate immune or resistant, or something like that. But even this already raises quite a lot of questions, because here at level 22, champion health increased by 8%, for instance. And potion efficiency is increased. Potion efficiency, actually, I don't mind. There's a title that I don't mind. Science research storage increased, that I don't mind either. But it's more specifically about class advantage, grants science champions an additional 6% attack rating, and your science champions gain extra health. Now that potentially could become a fairly big problem, which I'm going to break down a bit later. So each collective rank provides bonuses, power for all champions in the collective, and also other useful resources or bonuses. Each rank of a collective has a point requirement and may have gameplay requirements. Points come from rank sig ascension level of each captain. Captains are effectively the highest rank copy, highest star level copy that you have acquired. So if you have a 7-star champion, that's going to be a captain of that specific champion, kind of like thing. So it's basically just taking into account the highest rarity of each champion that you have. Gameplay requirements include quests, objectives, events, challenges, and more. More collectives will be carefully added in the future. Collecting champions takes time, and we want to be deliberate with permanent additions to the game. Collectives can do more than we can shown here today. Stay tuned as we approach the launch date. And again, the idea is honor past investments, increase champion, new chase rewards. And this is kind of, again, going to be part of potential friction points. When does it launch? Spring of 2026, basically. So what would be the potential issues with the collectives? How do you guys think? Because there is a big question hanging in there right now. and the devil is in the details. For instance, like if these collective point requirements are not too difficult to obtain as long as you have moderately good roster, I think, you know, that could be acceptable. However, if these point requirements are not as easy to obtain unless you have like every single champion, you know, with a 7-star relatively high sig, then that's going to be the first friction point, obviously, because that, you know, will provide the failure of the players with the advantage. But, you know, many of you would say that's perfectly fine because they are whaley players and, you know, they deserve an advantage and all that stuff. The core component here, however, would again be competitive game modes, Alliance War, and especially Battlegrounds. Because if these do affect the competitive game modes as well, then those competitive game modes could potentially be absolutely cooked. Because anybody remember when, you know, you could use boosts in Battlegrounds at the very beginning, and Kabam quickly figured out that is not a good idea? Because when you want to chase like higher positions and you wanted to kind of climb, you just boost it up to the max and you had like a massive advantage against anybody who wasn't willing or able to boost at that time. Well, what do you think about permanent boosts? Right? Because if these collectives are not relatively straightforward and simple to acquire, you know, with, you know, moderate roster expansion and for, let's say, average player that is interested in the game mode, and they are available only with, you know, a very large amount of money spent, then that will mark the first time in the history of the game where not all the champions are created equal. Because currently in the competitive game modes, obviously whales do get like an advantage in, first of all, flexibility. They can choose which champions they can rank and which ones, you know, they don't want to much more freely than player who doesn't have like, you know, 5 rank 4s coming in a week. But this would also mark the fact that even if you do make the right decisions and right rank up choices, you will still be like back because, you know, your Sig 200 7-star rank 4 Serpent isn't going to be as strong as somebody else's rank 4 Sig 200 7-star Serpent, purely based on, you know, how much money you have spent, how many champions you have acquired, and what their sig levels are, for example. So I do think that we do need to be quite careful with this and kind of look at the future of the collectives, or when we get more detailed information about the collectives. And again, I do not want to necessarily jump to conclusions, but this has a great potential to even further heavily monetize the game and again bring effectively cash into the fights where it otherwise didn't exist. Because again, previously, if you did have a rank 4 Sig 200 whatever champion and you were going up against somebody who had the same champion, you guys had the same fight in competitive game modes. Now that for the first time will no longer happen if this affects competitive game modes. Again, I do, however, think if it only works in like quests and challenges and stuff like that, then, you know, there's not a major issue with it. But again, if this would affect the competitive landscape of the game, then again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be awful if these thresholds are achievable, like, you know, with moderate roster growth and, you know, just participation in the game. But it definitely has the potential to get out of hand very, very fast. And more so than anything, I wanted to hear your thoughts about the situation. What do you guys think about collectives yourselves? And perhaps also, most importantly, make you guys aware that we absolutely should be looking towards Kabam and the fine, nitty-bitty, gritty details of how this new aspect of MCOC gets introduced. Because it could be cool, it could be fun, you know. In itself, I don't think it's an awful idea. I can easily see a way how Kabam can navigate this and it working out better for everybody and players loving it. Unfortunately, I can just as easily, if not easier, see how this again, further detrimentally impacts players' enjoyment of the game by creating yet another kind of like disadvantage to anybody who can't swipe the credit card 24/7. So let me know what you guys think on it, and I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the